for having the biggest crowd here ever. Thanks for making Bob Fest a great success. And thank you for such a wonderful greeting. I want to thank Laura Flanders for all the wonderful things she said and the things she said about me. Thank you, Laura, very, very much. This is a good time for that kind of encouragement. Jim Hightower, one of my favorite people, but some of you may not remember that in the early 80s, a number of us, I'm sure a number of us in the room here, together fought something that Monsanto had cooked up called bovine growth hormone that they wanted to stick in our cows. And I needed some help on that cause because they were sending lobbyists up here by the busload and the plane load. But one short guy from Texas came to see one short guy in Wisconsin, and together we fought and beat Monsanto on bovine growth hormone because of Jim Hightower. About that same time, a courageous man in this state took on an incumbent United States Senator. He took on Bob Caston. And he pointed out the evils of corporate money in politics. And he almost beat him. And he came so close that somebody was able to beat him 6 years later. I am grateful to Ed Garvey for his fight for America and for progressive causes and for what you're doing with Bob Caston. After that campaign, Ed wrote an article for the Progressive. And I carried that article with me everywhere I went in the country when I spent 5 years, all in Wisconsin, all over America, making the point that we have to figure out a way to defeat Bob Caston with people and not money. And that article, I quoted it every time. He talked about the growing evils of the power of money in politics, what he had experienced, what he had seen. And I was starting to see it too. And I experienced it to a degree, of course, in 1992 in that tough race where we finally beat Caston. But we had no idea, Ed or me or anyone else, we had no idea how bad this was going to get. And it was in the early 90s. Yes, under some of those Democrats you were talking about, where the bright idea was cooked up that, well, gee, why don't we let corporations and unions and wealthy individuals give unlimited campaign contributions to the political parties, independent of the campaign finance limits that have been put in place in the early 1970s. This was the beginning of the use of soft money. Remember the no controlling legal authority? Well, there was no controlling legal authority to prevent a corporation from giving $1 million Monday night to the Democrats and $1 million Tuesday night to the Republicans, and then Wednesday have a vote to pass a lousy trade agreement that sends our jobs overseas. That's exactly what happened with the unlimited campaign contributions. This was a growing cancer in our system, particularly 1990s, and that's why John McCain and I and others sought to and succeeded in banning those kind of contributions. People say to me, oh, it's too bad about McCain-Feingold being overturned by the Supreme Court. That's the only thing that's still in place now. So what we have now is a law that says that corporations and unions and wealthy individuals can't give unlimited contributions directly to political parties. The Supreme Court agreed with us, and the right and the corporations were absolutely fit to be tied. They couldn't believe we had actually achieved something on a bipartisan basis for the American people. And they started to plot, and they started to work. And of course, a certain guy named George Bush became president through a vote of the Supreme Court. And they got some judicial appointments. People that came before the Judiciary Committee and promised me under oath that they would follow precedent, that they would be neutral umpires calling balls and strikes. Well, of course, they did the opposite. They took every opportunity they could when it came to the campaign finance laws to destroy everything but the ban that McCain and I got into place. So what did they do? They did the Citizen United's case. Not just about everybody I talked to who has studied the law believes this is one of the worst decisions in the history of the United States Supreme Court.